Hey church, we have really enjoyed asking you each Sunday during our Today God is Feeling sermon series how you all are feeling. And the responses have been so diverse. There's so many emotions, I think ones that we would characterize as both positive and negative and a mix of in between. And some folks are putting in two words and are feeling two different emotions at the same time. And so Jen is going to take us to another emotion this Sunday. What's in store?
So this week we're going to be looking at scripture passages in which God feels pleased or satisfied. And so I have a passage where God is satisfied with creation, one where God is satisfied with Christ, and one where God is satisfied with us. And so I think it's important to look at those and ask ourselves, what does it mean for God to be satisfied with us and with the world? And what does it mean for us to learn to be satisfied and content or pleased with ourselves, which is sometimes work for some people.
Yeah, definitely. That makes me think of one of the songs from one of my favorite musicals, Hamilton, of course, where they're talking about how Alexander Hamilton will never be satisfied. He's someone who is always looking toward the next project and doing something else in terms of trying to write a new pamphlet to disseminate, and he's never satisfied with how much that he's accomplished. And I bet a lot of us can relate to that even when we accomplish something, we still feel as if we haven't done enough with our day or our week or our month or even our lives, that there's still more that we feel like we need to do in order to feel like we contributed to the world or that we're satisfied with who we are. And that also makes me think of one of my favorite books of the Bible, which is Ecclesiastes. And the author of Ecclesiastes is trying to find satisfaction in so many different concepts that seem like they should bring pleasure and contentment. And there's so many great lines from this book, and he calls them vanity of vanities. And in the end, the conclusion is just, there's not really sometimes kind of an overarching point to life to where this one thing is going to bring us contentment. But if we can just find satisfaction in the work that God puts in our hands, a phrase you've used in conversations with me is this idea of kind of taking root where you're planted and growing and thriving. And that's hard too, to be able to take root and to thrive where it is that we're planted. And so as we explore this emotion, I'm excited to find out what you have to say to us. And my prayer is always for people to find contentment where they're planted and to do their best to find contentment and joy from last week, and also just being satisfied with who we are and who God has created us to be. Is that where you're taking us?
We'll find out. Yeah, no, that's interesting. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, one of the things that my sermon won't really dwell on, although I might touch on it, is the idea that in the creation story, it's not that God waits until the end of the seventh day to declare that it is good. At the end of every day or every couple days, God looks at what has already been created and says it is good. And
even though there's more work to do.
There's more work to do, and it's not finished, but God is able to take a step back and see what has been created and say, this is good, this is good. So there's something to be learned, I think, in that practice for all of us to, look at our lives, look at our relationships, look at any aspect of how we are living and moving through the world, and know that there's more work to do, but also to be satisfied in the moment and say, what's happening now or what I have done thus far is good.
Great.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to share about a yoga event?
I did. So separate announcement, I guess, is that a tender of our church, Debbie Sanders, has agreed to offer Claremont UCC, as well as just the wider community, yoga in our sanctuary starting August 8th, Mondays and Wednesdays at noon. And it's going to be a wonderful yoga practice. It's donation-based, $10 suggested donation. So I'm really excited to be able to bring that to the community. And I hope that if you're available at the lunch hour on Mondays and Wednesdays, you will join us.
Great. And I'll see you on Sunday for the Ultimate Book Group. We're in Mark chapter 4. We left last week with a cliffhanger.
Oh.
And so even if you've not come to any of the sessions before, jump in, learn a little bit about the Gospel of Mark, and we'll see you on Sunday.
We'll see you then.